Edd China's departure from Wheeler Dealers was sudden and left fans shocked. At first, he seemed like the heart of the show, rolling battered cars into the workshop, smiling and ready to show viewers how repairs were really done. But then, without warning, he was gone. There was no goodbye on screen, no final laugh with Mike Brewer. Millions of fans were left confused, staring at their TVs and wondering why the man in the big orange gloves had disappeared. Behind the cameras, things weren't as smooth as they looked. Some people believe budget cuts stripped away the essence of the show. Others say there was a serious clash that created tension so sharp you could almost hear tools drop in the workshop. The truth has been buried under rumors, but small overlooked details suggest there may be more to the story than anyone first realized. The journey began back in 2003, long before YouTube tutorials and car-fixing channels ruled the internet. Two very different personalities came together in front of a single camera and created something new. Mike Brewer was a natural hustler, full of energy, part auctioneer, part entertainer. He hunted down old cars, sniffing out deals in backstreet garages and neglected lots. Standing beside him was Edd China, tall, calm, and always wearing those bright orange gloves. He wasn't just fixing cars, he was teaching. With every repair, he slowed things down so the audience could follow along. He removed wheels step by step, labeled bolts, and explained each movement of the spanner in simple words anyone could understand, even a kid working in the driveway at home. That balance is what made the show so powerful. Mike was the numbers man, counting costs and cracking jokes about profits. Edd was the craftsman, showing that even major car problems like blown head gaskets or seized brakes weren't the end of the road. They were challenges waiting to be solved. To viewers, every repair looked less like a burden and more like an adventure. The chemistry was electric, and the audience responded with passion. Letters, emails, and messages poured in from all over the world, from Brazil to Bahrain, with fans asking for more detailed fixes and longer episodes. By season 5, Wheeler Dealers was being broadcast in over 100 countries. By season 9, the production had moved across the Atlantic to California, where the team took on bigger projects and aimed at a massive US audience. Suddenly, the workshop was full of American icons, Mustangs, DeLoreans, Camaros, all adding fresh energy to the show. But behind the growing success, the pressure was building. Moving to California made everything bigger. The workshop, the bills, the expectations. Velocity, the new network, wanted faster episodes and tighter schedules. The crew worked exhausting hours, with cameras rolling before sunrise and deadlines pushing them to finish builds before dinner. Cars had to be restored faster than ever, and the pressure to deliver was constant. The workshop looked like a dream from the outside. Huge space, brand new equipment, classic muscle cars lined up for transformation. But inside, the pace was grueling. The pile of takeout boxes in the corner told the real story. The team was running on fumes, and cracks were beginning to show behind the scenes. The California Dream Workshop looked perfect on the outside. There were tool chests taller than most people, lifts shining under bright lights, and a parts budget that felt almost endless. But behind the polished image, there were rules that slowly drained the soul of the show. Producers paced the workshop floor with stopwatches and script notes in hand. A brake job that used to take 10 full minutes on screen now had to be cut down to just 30 seconds. A full engine teardown was reduced to a handful of quick shots with a voiceover. Edd felt the sting of this change more than anyone. Teaching repairs step by step was what he loved most. Every cut in the edit room felt like a page being torn out of his repair manual. He pushed back, asking for more time to show the details. Mike tried to hold the balance, keeping the sponsors happy on one side while checking in on Edd on the other, but the gap between them kept growing. On screen, they still laughed, bantered, and looked like the same old team. But off camera, the smiles faded quickly. Fans started to notice. Online forums filled with questions. Why does everything feel rushed? Where are the detailed repairs we used to learn from? Viewers from Birmingham to Brazil felt like they were missing the very heart of the show. Edd tried to fight back in his own way. He stayed late after filming, recording extra close-ups of repairs, hoping the editors would keep them in the final cut. But most of those clips never made it to air. Night after night, he watched valuable lessons end up on the cutting room floor. The pressure kept building like steam inside a whistling kettle. Everyone sensed it was going to burst. Then, in March 2017, the explosion came. On March 21st, Edd uploaded a 6-minute video to his personal YouTube channel. The title was simple: "I'm leaving Wheeler Dealers." There was no clickbait, no gimmicks. Just Edd sitting at a plain desk, wearing his familiar orange gloves, speaking directly to the camera. His voice was steady, his words clear. He explained that the new bosses wanted to cut down the repair scenes even more, calling it efficiency. To him, that wasn't acceptable. "A car show without real repairs isn't a car show at all," he said. And with that, he chose to walk away. He thanked the fans, praised Mike, and even wished the network well. But between the polite words, there was a sting. When he said, "It's not the direction I can support," fans knew exactly what he meant. To them, it wasn't just Edd leaving. It was the heart of the show being torn out. The internet erupted. Within an hour, the comment section was roaring. Forums, Facebook groups, and car blogs lit up with reactions. By lunchtime, auto news sites were running the story. By dinner, it was trending on Twitter. Some fans praised Edd for standing by his craft. Others turned their anger toward Mike, asking why he hadn't fought harder. The view counter on Edd's video spun faster than a tatch needle, passing 1 million, then 2, then 5. The storm came down hardest on Mike Brewer. Within hours, his social media pages were flooded with angry posts. Some called him a sellout. Others accused him of betraying Edd. A few went much darker, sending personal threats that had nothing to do with cars at all. His inbox filled with hate mail. One message warned that someone would show up at his home. Another dragged his teenage daughter into the mess. Mike was shaken. He contacted the police, who opened a file and warned him to be careful. Later, he admitted that the strain nearly broke him. Even Edd had to step back in, posting a message online begging fans not to threaten Mike and reminding them that none of it was his fault. But on the internet, once a fire starts, it's hard to put it out. Sponsors got nervous. A tire company quickly pulled its planned ad spot. The network scrambled to calm the storm, issuing a longer press release promising that Wheeler Dealers would evolve while staying true to its roots. Soon after, they announced a new mechanic, Ant Anstead, a fresh face with quick skills and a cheeky charm. Some fans were curious and willing to give him a chance. Others immediately shouted, "Replaceable," and swore they were done with the show for good. But even as the noise grew louder, many fans kept their hopes alive. They kept one eye on Mike and one on Edd, waiting and wondering if the two might one day reunite. When the split finally settled, it felt permanent. Mike braced himself for the first episode without Edd, and the new mechanic, Ant Anstead, was about to step into a spotlight sharper than any wrench in the shop. Cameras kept rolling, this time with a fresh face on the tools. Ant wasn't just another replacement. He was a former police officer turned car builder with charm, energy, and a grin that almost matched Edd's famous orange-gloved reach. He was quick with jokes, quicker with an impact wrench, and the network believed his spark would win back fans. The first episode with Ant opened on a bright blue Mustang. He jumped straight in, pulling it apart, swapping a gearbox in record time, and painting panels with the ease of icing a cake. Viewers who wanted action and speed loved it. But the longtime fans, the ones who paused their screens to take notes and learn every detail, felt something was missing. They asked in comments, "Where's the step-by-step teaching? How did he align that clutch?" The detailed walkthroughs were still trimmed down, and no amount of fresh energy could fill in the missing steps. And tried to meet fans halfway. Between shoots, he filmed side clips of the trickier repairs, breaking them down in detail, and pushed to release them online. A few found their way to YouTube, but most never left his hard drive. The ratings on TV stayed solid, proving the show was still alive, but the audience was split in two. Those who enjoyed the fast thrills and those who missed the slow, careful teaching that made them feel part of the build. Mike did everything he could to guide the new duo. He praised Ant's skills, teased bigger and bolder projects, and promised fans more detail in the future. Yet every social post, every promo carried the same shadow. Bring back Edd. Ant joked that he was both the most loved and most hated mechanic on television, but off-camera the pressure weighed heavy, like balancing a V8 engine on a shaky folding bench. Still the work carried on. Cars kept rolling in and out of the shop. A classic Datsun 240Z, a dusty Ferrari, even a military Humvee, all bought, restored and flipped for profit. The numbers proved that wheeler dealers could survive. But the bigger question lingered. Could it ever truly feel the same? While Mike and Ant kept chasing deals and filming episodes, Edd stepped out of the limelight and slipped quietly back into a private workshop in the English countryside. For years he stayed almost silent, showing up only at the occasional car show or charity run. Fans kept asking, where did Edd go? Finally, in 2021 they got their answer. Edd launched a brand new YouTube series, Edd China's Workshop Diaries. The first episode dropped on a Friday evening. There were no flashy intros, no network graphics, no tight schedules. Just Edd, a kettle boiling in the background, and a tired old Range Rover waiting for his attention. He greeted viewers like old friends, rolled up his sleeves and got to work. This time nothing was rushed. Every nut and bolt came off in real time. Every worn part was shown up close. If something needed more explaining, Edd paused to sketch it on a whiteboard. It felt like the early days of wheeler dealers, but slower, more detailed, and completely under his control. The projects quickly grew more unusual and creative. One week, Edd rebuilt a 1960s electric milk float. Another week, he brought back the record-breaking motorized sofa that once raced down the streets of London. Fans loved it. Comments poured in with gratitude. Finally, I can watch the whole repair again. By the 10th episode, the channel had already passed 500,000 subscribers, supported by ads, Patreon fans, and sales of his cheeky big hands, small garage t-shirts. For the first time in years, Edd was working at his own pace. Some months he posted a new video every Friday. Other times, he disappeared for weeks to hunt down rare parts or speak at engineering fairs. Nobody complained, because they knew the next video would only appear once the job was truly ready. Sponsors came knocking, but Edd turned most of them away, only accepting deals with tools he already used. If it's not in my toolbox, it's not in the show, he laughed. Meanwhile, back on Wheeler Dealers, Ant Anstead's run came to an end in 2020 when he decided to return to the UK for family reasons. The network soon brought in Mark Elvis Priestley, a former McLaren F1 mechanic, to fill Ant Anstead's shoes. Elvis arrived with sharp technical skills and an easygoing laugh, and the show shifted back to a new British workshop for its 2021 season. Ratings held steady, and plenty of viewers welcomed his presence, but longtime fans couldn't help comparing every cut and slow-motion weld to Edd's step-by-step explanations from the old days. By 2024, both men's paths seemed firmly set. Edd was teaching and tinkering at his own pace on Workshop Diaries, while Mike was steering a faster, lighter version of Wheeler Dealers. But whispers of a reunion never went away. On forums and Facebook groups, the same hope kept circling. Would the two ever team up again? Mike would smile and say never. Edd would grin, nod, and quickly change the subject. Both worlds were thriving on their own, but the question hung in the air. Would either man feel the need to bridge the gap, or were they happier driving down separate roads for good? In early 2023, the internet nearly exploded when a small car blog posted one cryptic line. Sources say Edd China may guest star in a future Wheeler Dealer special. No names, no dates, no details, but it was enough to spark endless debate. Reddit threads stretched for miles. Some swore they'd seen Edd meeting with a Motor Trend producer at Goodwood. Others claimed Mike and Edd were secretly planning a charity build for the show's 25th anniversary. Neither man denied it outright. When asked on a podcast, Mike laughed. Never say never. My phone still works. A month later, during a live stream from his workshop, a fan asked Edd if he'd ever go back. He paused, smiled, and said, Only if we can show every nut and bolt. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no. And for fans, that was enough to keep hope alive. Rumors kept rolling in. Some said the BBC wanted both hosts for a new electric conversion series. Others claimed Discovery had pitched a reunion road trip across 10 countries with 10 classic cars. Most of the stories fizzled when budgets shrank or schedules clashed, but the chatter never completely died down. Meanwhile, little signs suggested the gap might be closing, at least a little. At the 2024 NEC Classic Motor Show, Mike and Edd appeared on the same stage for the first time in 7 years. Different panels, same day. Backstage they shared a quick hello. A photo of them smiling together leaked online, and within hours Twitter was buzzing. A month later Mike sent Edd a public birthday message. "Have a great one, mate. Hope to share a brew soon." Edd liked it and replied with a thumbs-up emoji. Small gestures, but for long-time fans, they felt like oil working its way into a rusty hinge. Away from the speculation, both men stayed busy. Edd tested a hydrogen-powered taxi, hinting that alternative fuels might be his next big project. Mike wrapped filming on the show's 20th season and teased, "The biggest profit we've ever made." But no matter what they achieved individually, every interview circled back to the same question. Will you ever team up again? Both answered with the same shrug and smile, letting mystery do the talking. For fans, that open door became its own kind of fuel. As long as neither man said never, the dream of a reunion stayed alive. Forums, comment sections, and car meetups buzzed with endless theories, waiting for the day when the orange gloves and the fast-talking dealer might share the same workshop again. Whether that happens next year, next decade, or never at all, one thing is certain: the story of Mike Brewer and Edd China isn't over. It's simply idling with the engine warm, waiting for the next green light. Across more than 20 years, Wheeler Dealers proved something bigger than cars. It showed that when you cut too much of the reel, you risk losing the heart. The early days felt raw and honest because every scraped knuckle, every seized bolt, and every late-night fix was there for fans to see. Viewers learned, struggled, and sometimes failed right alongside Mike and Edd. And that's what made every finished car, every test drive, and every profit all the sweeter. The split in 2017 showed the world that honesty has a price. Edd chose principle over a steady television career, giving up ratings and security so he could work on his own terms. Mike chose to stay, carrying the responsibility of keeping a large crew employed and protecting a global brand that fans around the world depended on. Both decisions took courage, and both came with sleepless nights. Their choices revealed two truths that can exist together. Television is a team sport that relies on compromise, while true craftsmanship flourishes when no one is holding a stopwatch over the work. What surprised everyone most was how the audience responded. Instead of walking away, fans followed both men down their new roads. Some tuned in for Mike's fast-paced flips and big profits, while others preferred Edd's slow, detailed guides that showed every nut, bolt, and scraped knuckle. In a world overflowing with content, the message was clear. When people see passion, they'll find it no matter where it lives. So, will the famous handshake ever return? Maybe. History says money can make it happen, but trust is the real key. If the day comes when both men feel the balance is right, enough screen time for the details, respect for the budget, and freedom to do the work properly, then maybe those bright workshop lamps will shine on the two of them once again. Until then, both paths keep rolling forward. One chasing speed and profit on primetime television, the other chasing perfection and patience through long online videos. And that leaves one final question sitting right on your driveway. Which road would you take? Do you want the quick thrill of fast deals, the careful walkthrough of detailed builds, or maybe a rare mix of both? The next twist in this story might depend on what fans like you decide to support. From a small London garage to international TV studios, Edd China and Mike Brewer proved that dusty old cars could spark big dreams. Their split showed that passion and profit don't always travel in the same lane, but both still create stories worth telling. One path cuts quickly for television, the other takes its time online, but both keep the spirit of fixing alive. Maybe one day those roads will cross again. Maybe they'll keep driving separately. In the end, the choice could come down to what fans cheer for most.